यस्त्यक्त्वा रूपमाद्यं प्रभवति जगतः अनेकदा अनुग्रहाय प्रक्षीणक्लेशराशिः विषमविषधरः अनेकवक्त्रः सुभोगी सर्वज्ञानप्रसूतिः भुजगपरिकरः प्रीतये यस्य नित्यं देवो हीशः स वो व्यात् सितविमलतनुः योगदो योगयुक्तः योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिं श्रीमते अनन्ताय नागराजाय नमो नमः। पातञ्जलमहाभाष्य चरकप्रतिसंस्कृतैः मनोवाक्कायदोषाणां हर्त्रे अहिपतये नमः। So very warm greetings my friends. Last time we were discussing the sutra Tat Pratishedhartham Ekatatvabhyasah. I think it was Sutra 130 or so. The sutra is talking about how we are able to reduce the symptoms of suffering, or when the mind is agitated, which is expressing itself into four different kind of symptoms, four categories: dukkha, daurmanasya, angamejayatva, shvasa prashvasaha are the different kind of symptoms. How to counter that? Patanjali gave us a method which is called Tat Pratishedhartham Ekatatvabhyasaha. It was, I think, Sutra 132. 133 is a very important sutra. The next sutra is very, very important, because from the next sutra onwards, Patanjali is starting to give us some solutions of what kind of practices we can do, what kind of techniques or technology we can use to help reduce the agitations of the mind, so that from the state of disturbance we can come to a state of quietness and attention. So he begins this sutra through a series of statements, techniques he is given. He is beginning this section with a very beautiful sutra: Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Apunya Vishayanam Bhavanataha Chitta Prasadanam. He will give certain methods from here which are different from Ishvara Pranidhana, and all of them he is giving as a choice. But before that he says you need to develop some attitudes, what is called bhavana. Bhavana in this context, it almost means like an attitude that we have to create, and he is telling us that we have to have these four kinds of attitudes that we have to start. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita and Upeksha. He is saying there are four kinds of attitudes we have that we have to develop. But what he is giving us is a concept that is much more significant, which is what is called as Satpatra Viniyoga. Satpatra Viniyoga means we have to apply something in an appropriate context, like literally if you take a metaphor, this may be very easily understood by people who are outside India, especially in Western countries. When you look at it, you have different containers for different things. When you go to a restaurant, they have a particular kind of cup for water, a different cup for wine, different cup for coffee, different cup for tea. Everything is slightly different. And even if you consider coffee, they give you cappuccino in one cup, they give you cafe latte in another cup, they give you espresso in another cup. These are what is called patra. In Tamil, patra means like a vessel, a container. In Sanskrit also, in one context, it means a vessel or a container. Sat patra means an appropriate container, and the right container. Viniyoga, the use or the application of the right container in the right context. So if you want to serve somebody some water, you are not going to give them in an espresso cup, you are going to give them in a water cup. You want to serve somebody soup, you are not going to give them in a in a cup where you are drinking tea. You are going to use the right cup for the right meal. This, as I say, it's much more relevant in the West, because in our country we usually often have only one kind of cup which we are using for everything. But how we use it also is different. That's different. We will come to that later. But what it means, this concept of Satpatra Viniyoga, is that a certain technique or a tool, a certain method is not going to be universally valid. It has to be applied in the right context, in the right place, in the right moment, etc. And this is very, very important. This applies even to attitudes that we have with people, and that is why Patanjali is presenting this in a very interesting way. He simply does not say have these 4 attitudes. These are 4 brilliant attitudes, what is called Maitri. Maitri is the attitude of friendliness. You are treating things in good way, you are very friendly with people, that is what is called Maitri. Then you have what is called Karuna. Karuna is the attitude of compassion, where you are showing forgiveness or compassion to people. Then there is what is called Mudita. Mudita is what is called appreciation or affection. Many times we don't appreciate the things we have. We are often putting down the things we have. This is what is called Mudita. Finally, we have what is called Upeksha. The word comes from Upaiksha, to look at things very carefully, closely. Translated in another way, it means like attitude of non-judgmentalism. To look at things not in a box, but to look at things in an open manner. Patanjali could have very simply said, have these 4 attitudes, it's enough. Patanjali could have very easily said, have these 4 attitudes. But he does not say just that. He says, put these 4 attitudes in the right container. That is what is called Satpatra Viniyoga. Satpatra Viniyoga. And therefore he is equating it in this way. Sukha Vishaya. When there is an object or a person or something that is in comfort, have the attitude of Maitri. You have friendliness towards people who are in a state of happiness or comfort. Very often this is a very interesting case where when somebody else is happy, we are not happy for them, we are very jealous. We are trying to push them down. And whether it's anywhere in the world, whatever you take the profession, the general tendency of people is to push down people who are happy, who are comfortable, so that we can grow on them. That is what people usually do, to stand on other people's comfort or success. Patanjali says, don't do that, have the opposite, have what is called Maitri. The word Maitri is similar, synonymous to what is called sneha, friendship, friendliness. Mitra bhavaha. Maitri is what is called mitra bhavaha. Have the feeling of friendliness. Be friends with these kind of people or these kind of things which are happy, sukha, in the state of sukha. So create this attitude of friendliness so that there is not a negative energy that is generated, something which is positive. Have something that is positive. So this is what is Maitri Bhavam. Now this is a very important thing to have in the world, to remind ourselves that when someone is happy, we should share their happiness, we should have a comfort in the other person's happiness or joy as well. Now very often the opposite also is important, what is called dukkha vishaya, for those who are suffering. For those who are in suffering, those who are in a bad place, there for them we are happy when others are suffering. Many times when you are seeing, sometimes people, it happens very often in schools and when children are growing up, when somebody falls, people are laughing. They are not really going to help. Maybe one or two kids will help, but generally the others will make fun of it, will laugh, and this is what is, we are happy for others suffering. And that is not what Patanjali is saying. He is saying, in those circumstances, show compassion to those who are suffering. Do not laugh or do not have fun at somebody's expense. Do have compassion to those who are suffering. At that context, have this. This is what is called karuna. The word karuna comes from the root called karpanya bhavaha. Your kripa also is a synonym. It means that you are having an attitude of kindness or compassion. You want to elevate them. You want to have an attitude of elevation. But there is also a very interesting subtle pun in that word, which is what is called karuna. The word karuna also shares the root rina. Rina means a debt. A debt. D-E-B-T, debt, not death. Debt. Like when you owe money to the bank, you are in debt. So karuna comes from this word, that when you show compassion to somebody, when you are helping somebody, don't do it in such a way that you make the other person feels they are in your debt. Do it because you want to do it, not because you are expecting something in return. Don't make it a debt. So this is what is called karuna. Don't do it with an expectation that if I help you, you help me. You know, we have a saying, you have my back, I have your back. You know, it's not that you watch each other's back. That is kind of a business transaction. It is not karuna. It's like a business deal. This is what is the opposite. Karuna is you are doing something to help somebody, but you are not really having the expectation that they will do something in return for you. That is what is karuna. When somebody is suffering, for example, you see people suffering in the street, etc., you show some compassion to them, not because you want something from them, but because you want to do something, because this is what is the right thing to do at that context. This is what is called karuna. Then comes mudita. The word mudita is also very interesting because the root of this is utta, which means to elevate. Appreciation. We are very often not having the attitude of appreciation for what we have or what kind of life circumstances we have. We take things for granted. We are taking life for granted. We are taking people for granted, etc. And sometimes this is what Patanjali is saying, when somebody else is doing a good job, appreciate them. That is what is called punya vishaya. When somebody is doing a good job, their punya means a noble act. When somebody is doing that, don't criticize them, you actually appreciate what they are doing. This is very, very important as well. Very often you see in the newspapers and TV shows and things like that, you see all these very wonderfully rich people, they are donating money to different charities or organizations. There are a lot of people appreciating it. But then there's a lot of people also who are writing, oh, they are doing it because they want to escape tax, oh, they are doing it because they were doing blah, blah, blah. There's always a criticism of some act that is happening from such kind of circumstances. Patanjali is telling us to reverse that. He says, when somebody is doing a good job, when something is happening that is doing a positive thing, appreciate that positive side, punya vishaya. Appreciate that and show the attitude of mudita. Mudita is a very strong word that represents what is called appreciation. Acharya Krishnamacharya uses the word also priti. It means show affection to them, show support to them, do not criticize them, show support, do something that is helpful for them to grow as well, so that you will also grow with them. That is what is called mudita. Then comes the context which is very, very important, what is called upeksha. This is the attitude of not coming to a judgment very soon. Watch closely, stay at a distance. What is called discernment. In English, the close word is discernment or non-judgmentalism. This is what is the very fascinating concept, upeksha. The word originates from the idea that you have to go and watch carefully what is happening. When somebody is actually appearing to do something that is not noble, what is called apunya vishaya, somebody is doing something wrong, don't judge this very quickly. Watch closely, stay at a distance, because the moment you get involved in a situation, you kind of get trapped in the emotion of the situation. You will not see things very clearly. You will always come to a judgment by mistake. So watch carefully. Classic examples are many. There are many cases where this thing happens very quickly, and sometimes we are very quick because of ego. Our identification is saying, oh, this is wrong and this is right. Classic example is when people come from one culture and visit another culture. A few days ago, one of you were sharing this story where you were offering money to an auto rickshaw driver with the left hand. Now this is your culture, it's not really a problem for you, but immediately the auto rickshaw guy reacts because for him it's a bad deed, and then he reacts in a very negative way. So he is judging your action very quickly, and you are judging his action. Oh my God, this rickshawala is so rude, I give him money and he is becoming agitated, what the hell is his problem? So there is the cycle of what is called judgment, one after the other, and then there is conflict. So rather than that, take some distance and see, why is he getting agitated? What actually is the reason why he is getting agitated? What should we do? Things like this, when we start asking more questions, that is what is called upeksha, to see the situation more clearly, to see the situation more closely. Very often this becomes a problem, not only in cultural context, but also in the context of time. Now there are many things historically that happened maybe 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 300 years ago. It would have been a particular reason, a particular situation that warranted a particular reaction from people living in that time. But if we sit in a different time frame where the society is different, the education is different, the knowledge is different, and then we sit and judge what happened 200 years ago or 100 years ago or 400 years ago, then it becomes a very big problem. Very often I have heard this kind of situation or stories, for example even about my own grandfather and his teachers and things like that. In the era when they came to learn yoga in the 1920s and 1930s, the teachers were very, very strict. So they would sometimes, if they did mistake in the way they were doing the asana or pranayama, whether it was a yoga student or even a music student, if they were playing the violin or singing a song and they were making a mistake, the teacher would physically beat them or punish them so that they would remember not to make that mistake in another occasion. And this was very common at that time. This was very common at that time. It was something that was happening all over the country, at least in India I know of this. I have talked to musicians, I have talked to artists like dancers, I have talked to yoga students in the past who were learning in the past. This was very common. Today we sit in a different era. We are sitting in a different cultural context. We are sitting in another totally different environment. And if we are going to sit and do a judgment of that, this will always be a problem, because we cannot understand What was their reasoning, what was their thinking, what was their mechanism at those days. So this is why Patanjali is saying, don't be very quick to judge something that looks negative. Be careful, analyze the situation and dig deeper into this process. That is what he calls as upeksha. Because if we don't do that, then we are always going to make some mistake or the other in error of judgment, an error of observation. Many of these things are possible. But there is also another dimension to this context which is very, very important for modern era, because in modern era many of us, we are thinking in very compartmentalized manners. We are thinking in very separate boxes. So when you, for example, when you look at people, you say, oh, he is happy, he is unhappy. It's like a box. Sukha Vishaya, he is happy, he is unhappy. It's like two different people. It's not possible for one person to be happy and unhappy. It's like, no, you have to be happy or unhappy. The same, punya and apunya. He is good person, he is bad person. It cannot be possible that one person has good and bad. This is very much a compartmentalization that modern people do, especially people coming in the modern era from the West. This is not how Indians were thinking in the past. That's why Patanjali is very careful use of the word. There's no boxes that people belong to. That's why using the word Vishaya. Vishaya in this context is like attributes. So the same person, it's possible that he or she has all these four attributes. There is moments where this person may be happy. There are moments where somebody is comfortable. In that moment when they are comfortable, show sukha bhava. Show attitude of friendliness. In moments where they are in suffering, in dukkham, then show karuna bhavaha, maitri bhava towards sukha at moments when they are comfortable, karuna at moments when they are uncomfortable. If you will see this, there are people who are healthy and very vital for a long time. I know some of my own students have been very healthy and vital for a long time. So they are in the state of sukha. So at that time, friendliness is the attitude with which we have to work with. Suppose they become very, when they are friendly, mean like you say, oh, let's go have a coffee, let's have a nice talk together, let's go to a cinema, we are friendly with these people. Suddenly they have some disease, let's say they get cancer, or let's say they get some other form of disease, where emotional disease, physical disease, etc., or they become paralyzed, etc. At that point, we have to show compassion to them to see how we can support them, how we can help them to improve, rather than say, oh, shall we go for a coffee, shall we go for a cinema. That attitude will not be the right one at that moment. The attitude that will be right at that moment would be the attitude of karuna, to support such people at that moment. Similarly, people are going to do good things and people are going to do bad things. There are moments, there is never a person who is good only and there is never a person who is bad only. This is very, very important. Even if you watch, now recently in the news there is this movie called Star Wars and things like that, and if you watch episode 6, you see the Darth Vader is conflicted between his good and his bad, and there is always this conflict. This is what in Vedic mythology they say Devas and Asuras. There is what is called bright side in us, there is what is called dark side in us. We have to manage and accept both. To that which is bright side and which is driving us to do some good things, there is that good thing in all the people. Show up appreciation to that good aspect. To that side where they are, for example, it appears that they are doing something which is not right, have an attitude of non-judgment behavior, or have distant to understand little bit deeper what they are doing, and then participate in the more appropriate way what you are supposed to do. This is very, very important also in the Vedic context. It is very significant because Patanjali is a Vedic school. Patanjali's yoga philosophy is a Vaidika darshana, it is not an Avaidika darshana. And one thing is very common in all the darshanas. In all the darshanas, there is one common message, which is that no human can judge another person. Only person who can make a judgment is Ishvara or Paramatma. Nobody else has the right or authority to make a judgment on another person. That's why they say have upeksha. They don't say make a judgment. Also because even if we are not Ishvara, we are not all lawyers or judges or sitting in the dharma of judging people. Today, thanks to our internet, Facebook and other kind of things, we are able to judge everybody and anybody we want, even without being involved in that situation. Even without being involved in the situation. Just few days ago, there was this huge drama that was happening in the US, where President Obama was trying to talk about this gun control, and he was moved to tears when he was talking about this. He started crying, and then suddenly everybody in the internet is commenting, oh, maybe there was crushed onions in his podium that made him cry, which is kind of sad. That is our capacity. Our tendency is we are very quick to judge other people, but what is important is we are not judging ourselves. That is not our business. It's not. We are perfect, others are all imperfect. That is the attitude in the modern times. That is why even in other religions, for example, if you take Christianity, Jesus asks these people, well, have you not made any mistake? If those who did not make any mistake come and judge. That's why in the Vedic philosophy they are always saying the only person who can make a judgment is somebody else. Other people should only have discernment. You have discernment, either you stay at a distance and watch, you take the steps that you have to take for yourself, for others, etc. But you cannot judge, because we really don't know what the situation is, especially if we are not involved in the situation. So this is what is called upeksha. So all these attributes, they belong to the same category, that one person can have all these four possible cases of sukha, dukkha, punya and apunya. The same person can have. It's possible that the person may not have at the same time. It's possible that over time it happens. Over time, somebody may be happy at one moment in time, unhappy at another moment in time, or sometimes they are happy and unhappy at the same time. That's also possible. There is attributes. Sometimes people do good things at one stage of life, bad things another stage of life, or sometimes the reverse. That's also possible that this can change, but it's also possible that it can exist in the same time. So all the Vishayas, this is very, very important, and in this context we have to be very, very careful not to become trivial and put people in these four different boxes, saying, oh, this person is a friendly person, this person is a non-friendly person, this person is a good person, this person is a bad person. When you start putting this in box, then we are only limiting our spiritual evolution. We are not transcending the boundaries of these mental structures to go deeper into other domains. That's why we have to remove even these kind of boundaries. All of this is very, very relevant, and this has been talked about in this Yoga Sutra for a reason, because one of the reasons why we suffer is if we have this boxed behavior. When we start putting people or things in boxes, this is where this becomes a problem. This is where this becomes a problem. And also, what may seem as good action or bad action in one context need not be a good action or a bad action in another context. No, it's like what somebody is doing may be appearing to be good in your eyes, but it actually may be bad in another person's eyes. What somebody is doing bad, that is appearing to you as bad in your eyes, may be actually something which is very good. We cannot judge that. It is contextual. In this context, one of the commentators raises a question. Can you judge a cobra because it carries poison? It is only carrying what is part of its nature for its own protection, for its own use. Can you judge a cobra to be always bad because it carries poison? This is very important reflection for us. And it's even more important because in the Vedic tradition we are actually honoring the cobra in so many forms. If you look at Shiva, he has a cobra around his neck. Patanjali himself is one form of a snake which is almost like a cobra. So what is important is not to judge the whole. That is what we become a problem based on a part. And that is why we need to wonder what upeksha is important. We have to start seeing the whole picture rather than just small parts of the picture. Time is important in this context because the context, the era we are living in can blur our perception. The context we are in can blur our perception. What appears okay in one relationship is one certain context is not okay in another context. This is very, very important for us to analyze. For example, we can very simply take the example. If somebody says, okay, I'm going to use a knife and cut you, is this bad? Is this a apunya vishaya? Now, it may be bad if I want to kill you or murder you and take your money. But if I am a surgeon and I want to cut your cancer cells out of your body and I'm using a knife to cut you and hurt you, that's a different context. That's why you cannot judge either an action or a person based on its only that entity. We have to look at the whole image. That is why yoga is talking us about what is called sarvanga sadhana. The same kind of judgments we may have about different people. The same kind of judgments we may have about different people. This morning I was with a friend and we were having breakfast in one restaurant nearby, and I told my friend, we met one gentleman in this restaurant, and I told my friend, this person is a wonderful person, he is a billionaire and he is so simple, he comes and has coffee in this restaurant like you and me. And at the end of, we had a little conversation, and at the end of this conversation, my friend said to me, I have never met a billionaire who is so happy and he is such a happy man. I said, he's happy at that context, but it doesn't mean he has no problems. Maybe when he's running his business, he has maybe hundreds and thousands of problems like everybody else that he has to deal with. So, it's not possible to just look at one part and judge a whole. And that is a very important story that is communicated in the Indian mythology as well. They say that there are 4 blind men. And the 4 blind men want to understand what is an elephant. So one person goes and touches its legs and says, the elephant is like a big pillar. The other person touches its trunk and he says, no, it's like a big swing and it is swinging from one side to the other. It's moving so much. It's like a long pipe. The other person touches the tail and he says, no, it's very grisly in the it's animal and it's also having some kind of needle kind of things. This is what is an elephant. Another person says, no, it's like a big round being, because this person is touching the belly of the elephant. Now these are 4 blind people, and what they are seeing, what they are grasping, they think is the reality. So they are fighting. They are all fighting with each other. So another person who is not blind comes and says, why are you all fighting? And so they say, we are fighting about what is the elephant and how it appears. And each one is saying their point of view. So this person obviously says, what you are all saying is part of the reality, but the elephant is the sum of all this plus something more that nobody is able to see. And that is what is the reality situation. When you are looking at the same 4 different people who are blind, we only see that somebody is happy, we only see that somebody is suffering, we only see that somebody is doing good things, we only see that somebody is doing bad things. That is like we are seeing the person as a blind person, we are not seeing the person with eyes open. There is nobody in this world, nobody who is only a good person or a bad person, or who is only happy or not happy. All the people in this world, they have all of these 4 circumstances, and we cannot forget that. They are people who, all of them have these problems or these circumstances that we have to acknowledge. And that is why Patanjali calls what is called Satpatra Viniyoga. You have to apply the right attitude in the right context. Suppose you take upeksha in the circumstance of dukkham, that is not right. When somebody is suffering, you cannot be in a distance. You have to show compassion. That is the right attitude. Same way, when somebody is friendly, you have to, if somebody is comfortable and happy, you have to show friendliness, not some other attitude. So, the Satpatra Viniyoga is very, very important. And what is also very beautiful to see in this Patanjali Sutra is, the sutra does not contain the word va. It's not an option like all the next succeeding sutras. And one of the main sutras preceding this, that is the Ishvara Sutra itself, has va. It's an option. You can do this, or don't worry, there is another method. You can do this, or don't worry, there is another method. Ishvara is there, okay, but if you are not happy with Ishvara, don't worry, we do pranayama. Okay, you cannot do pranayama, don't worry, you can analyze your dreams, you can analyze your sleep, etc. Oh, if you don't worry about that, if that is not appropriate for you, you can meditate on the light in your heart, etc. All these are options. But Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Punya Vishayanam, Bhavanataha, Chitta Prasadanam. This is not an option. It's something that is compulsory and you have to do it. It's what Patanjali is saying. He's saying you have to do it. And the other fascinating thing about the use of the word bhavana is that these things have to manifest in us. It's not that you are faking it. There are so many people who fake that they are nice Swamijis, they are nice yogis, they are very compassionate, they say nice words when they talk, but in reality they behave differently. There are many yogis who claim to be fantastic yogis, but they don't deal with their problems. They want to point the problem of other people, but they don't want to deal with their problems. This is why the word bhavana is used, because bhavana means that which is manifesting. Bhu saktayam, it becomes a reality. It becomes a reality. Sattayam, satu means reality. This Maitri must become a reality. Karuna must become a reality. Mudita must become a reality. Upeksha must become a reality. It's not that it is just casual. It's not that it is what they say in Hollywood, fake it till you make it. This is not what these bhavanas are about. These bhavanas have to be a reality for it to be a bhavana. So that is the essence of this sutra. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Apunya Vishayanam, Bhavanataha, Chitta Prasadanam. When we do engage with these kind of bhavanas and make it a reality, Patanjali says the resulting state is what is called Chitta Prasadanam. Multiple layers of meaning exist in this word Chitta Prasadanam. One context of the word prasadana means that it becomes very sweet. The mind becomes very sweet. It's pleasant mind. You are not agitated, you are not disturbed. And remember friends, that is the goal of yoga. It's not to have an agitated mind, but to have a mind that is sweet and steady and focused. That is what is called Chitta Prasadanam. But there's another meaning for the word prasada. Prasada also means like gift or a blessing. The mind, when it has these attributes, is blessed with positive attributes. Many positive things start to manifest in the mind, not just these four realities, but other realities as well. That also becomes real. And that is what is the meaning of Chitta Prasadanam.